couple minutes, but give me a second to throw your links in the comments and to share the link to the stream in a few places. And please, as we're warming up here, share the link on your socials too, so we can get people involved. Doug, I saw you're on Discord. How is that going?
It's good.
Let
I've
me
really
tag you
enjoyed
right
it.
now.
It took me a while.
I'll tag you guys on X. How much time do you spend in the Discord?
It's all like what I'm used to, but is like, like getting discovered on Twitter and stuff like that. So I had to kind of adapt. I'm on Discord, but like my people don't really want to use, like we're not really chatting about stuff, but I've used it for so like I like to add value. So like I do office hours so people can like open chat for an hour and anybody can ask me any questions. I'll ask them, then I'll do a bet cast here and there. But like people just want picks, man.
Love it.
I've
Give them
tried to
what they
make this
want.
sort of like, I've tried to make this sort of like, hey, I want to offer a bunch of value, because I get DMs all the time like, hey, like what do I do? Do I hedge here? It's like, well, can you DM lawyers and ask them free legal advice? So I wanted to do this for subscribers and be like, look, you guys and people do like it. And then something will happen in a game and someone will just put a quick question in there. So it's almost like 24/7 office hours, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I do live plays, but I try to keep it more like fair. Like I'll just do a halftime line or something like that. But if I'm watching and people are watching, be like, hey, after this punt, I really like fourth quarter money line or third quarter money line. I'll do something like that where it's not an official play or something like that. But I'll explain to someone why. So it's almost like a 30-second office hour, if you will, where people get a little
bit more
dose.
educational.
That's my hope from the beginning. I mean, when I left ESPN and everything, that was my whole hope. But people just aren't, the appetite's not there. But in terms of the open, like before, when it was free, there was a lot of community, it was a normal Discord and everything. And then we just, talking to John and everything, we put the paywall and did all that. And people kind of went away, which is fine. I mean, they were never going to pay in the first place, according to him. And I defer to you guys. Like, you guys have the data, you guys have the experience, you guys know the behavior of people. So, but I'm very happy with where it is and everything. I just wish more people were kind of in the know of it.
Yeah, we got to spread the word. We got to get on the stream. The numbers are going to go vertical.
General, like my generation doesn't, know Discord.
Isn't it crazy how like we run into this with like we're hiring engineers, software engineers, and it's crazy like the generational divide, if you will, in terms of like people that are under 28, they get it like instantly. Like, oh yeah, I grew up sports betting in college and cappers, Twitter, Discord, all of it's, very comes easily to them. And then people who are above 28, it's like, what, are you a bookie? Like, no. It's just,
yeah, no, it's funny. Like a lot of my peers, I'm like, do you know anything about Discord? Like your kids? Like I have to like their kids know it. It's like
at least you can be the cool old guy now. Not to say that you're an old guy, Doug. You're young at heart. No,
I am, and I'm a little far. It's crazy. But yeah, no, it's I like it because I actually own my audience as opposed to like Twitter, right? But the conversion, it's a Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yes, you got to stick to it. That's the true on any social media platform. Mike, do you do anything in Discord, or are you all Dub Club?
No, I do Discord too, but it's through Dub Club. John, hell, I don't like. I mean, I'm 36. I don't like Discord at all. Everybody tells me how you gotta add more channels. I keep it short and simple. I do a sports chat, and then I do my VIP where I send out the plays. That's it. I'm not doing all these crazy channels. But if you have any questions, just private message me or talk in the sports chat. But yeah, Discord's kind of odd for me too.
John's getting a lot of love on this stream, which I love because John's the best. This is turning into a John Love Fest. I promise we'll get to the football as well, listeners. Okay, I tagged you guys on Twitter, so fire off a retweet.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, I'll send the actual link to the stream in our group text as well. and then we will get going.
Yeah, what Doug was saying with the videos, that's why I try to do my 60-second videos, because people just want the picks, and I try
Yeah.
to like add to it. If I actually lose, I actually just got these today, mega sat. I don't know what they're gonna be. So if I get reverse swept, I have to eat one of these. So but yeah, people just want the picks. That's all they want now.
I know it's a little disconcerting, but yeah.
It's like an hour-long video. They'll just be like, all right, well, where's the picks, you know?
The
Don't you want
thing
to know
that's
why I want these picks?
just know if you guys weren't given the picks, they'd be trusting their gut and the results would be much worse. So as disconcerting as just wanting the picks is, the alternative's even worse.
That's what I've tried to explain to people. It's not my record versus zero. It's like there's a lot. It's not binary. There's a lot more. So I think I won like 8 out of 12 months or something. And my free play has been really good. I mean, I shouldn't say really good, but it was like 12 games over 500 last year, which I only started in March. But it's also preventing like huge, negative turns.
That's half the battle. I mean, my journey as a sports bettor, when I was making every rookie mistake in the book.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
Before we started this crazy company 5 years ago. And it's just like having a process and having someone lead you down the road is 90% of the battle. People who clear out their bankroll or do crazy stuff or are constant losers, constantly depositing. How much less frequently are they winning? They're definitely winning less frequently, but it's just 101 mistakes that make it not fun, from my experience at least. And that's like 85% of sports bettors.
Yeah, we have the scar tissue, and you can be 10 years if you're young and you're betting $5. You can lose for 10 years and then you start making some money and win for 1 year, and you can actually be net positive if you start to make real money.
Exactly. And I think
you want to make all those mistakes when you're young and don't have money.
Yeah. The age difference in my VIPs are crazy. I have
how does it skew?
So I have actually quite a few like 60-year-old older guys that are in it, but then I have a lot of early 20s, and you can tell the difference how they bet. And I always try to tell people everybody's unit size is different. Don't bet anything where you're going to be screwed. You know what I mean? Like trying to figure out how to pay your cable bill or all that. Pay what you're safe with, and you're not happy losing, but not like it's not going to kill you and your
You're
family.
Not thinking twice about it. It's
Exactly.
Disposable. It's recyclable for sure. Probably disposable. 60 years old. What are you handing out QR codes at the retirement home? That's impressive.
I explained to them. Yeah, I explained to they like this one guy only likes betting. He tells me all the time $10,000 on my PODs every day. He's like, I just touch that and I'll do that every day. So yeah, he's been with me since 3 years now. Every day.
No kidding. It's done. It's done him well. He's stacked some unit size. Okay, let's hop into the fun stuff.
Send the plays via pigeon.
Yeah, exactly. Snail mail. We're keeping the post office in business.
Yeah, it was a little hard to explain at Dub Club, but we got through it. And now he's a lifer.
That's great. Good for you.
It's the Lord's work. So let me start this thing properly. This is a very fun cast and crew to cover a very fun weekend slate of playoff football action at both the quote-unquote amateur and professional level. Reporting live from the man cave in the metal or somewhere in Foxborough or adjacent. You know him as the Gambling God. He joined our NFL Playoff Pick'em Challenge and promptly went 5-1 on Wild Card Weekend. Thank you very much. He's been with Dub Club for many years. He's offering a $5 first week. Link is in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gambling God. GG, please say hello to the listeners at home.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be with two legends right here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's have some fun, talk some ball.
Love it. And joining us as well today, a voice for radio and a face for television, the one, the only, Doug Kazarian. He's had a fantastic, I think, first full year on Dub Club in 2025, stacked almost 30 units of profit and really crushing it, both on the prop side of things and sides and totals. He's got a few different products at different price points and is offering a 7-day free trial for new folks. In the comments, Doug, say hello to listeners at home, please.
Good to be with you guys. Lewis, thank you. John, great to connect on this stream here. It's awesome. Like I really have enjoyed sort of leaving ESPN, coming to this sort of platform and being accessible and having this kind of access. And, we got Betcast and things like that. So I'm excited to break down some games and share some of the thought process. And, I'm based in Las Vegas. Obviously, I talk to a lot of people and a lot of pro bettors and my circles, if you will, so I can relay a lot of that information as well.
I love this crew, two extremely sharp minds from obviously very different backgrounds. So I'm excited to break down the slate with you all. Let's start in the college game. We're headed to Miami Gardens, Florida for one of the, probably I would say, the most compelling matchup in the history of the college football playoff, if you're just writing a script out of Hollywood. The fighting Indiana Hoosiers out of Bloomington, Indiana, 15-0 on the year, trying to run the table and have a perfect 16-0 seasons. But the Hurricanes look pretty tough. Line opened with Indiana as a 7.5-point favorite. I think it's up to 8.5 at most places. It's being bet pretty aggressive. The Hoosiers are getting bet pretty aggressively everywhere. Total sitting at 47.5 where I'm looking. And if you want to buy a ticket to this game, I hope you have an extra $3,000 laying around. This is the hottest college football game I can ever remember. Doug, why is that? And where are you leaning when you look at the tape and the numbers? Get us started.
It's crazy. They've gone from the underdog Hoosiers story and the greatest turnaround in sports and maybe the best sports story in history, more than the Miracle on Ice, to now they're the big bad bully and people are accusing them of cheating. So it's amazing what can happen when people are paying attention to you. Now, you got to be sort of smart with all of this because the market's always going to be really efficient and really tight. And I talked to an odds maker Monday night, a college football specifically odds maker, and he just said the big bets have come in on Indiana. These recreational players, yes, but they're like $300,000 bets, $200,000. And so they want a piece of Indiana. So that's why the line's been shading up higher and higher, and the money line as well. So even people who are not necessarily flagged accounts and sharps, they are still worried about that big money, kind of like the Super Bowl, because Indiana is such a popular thing. And as we know, people like to bet the popular teams and they want to be part of history and whatnot. It's almost like buying a baseball card or something like that, a trading card. And that's what backing a team is. Now, I have done really well of talking people off of fading Indiana, whether it was the Big Ten championship game, the game at Oregon. But I was on Alabama. I was on Oregon just for a little bit, like a half unit, just because I thought the number was too high. And I didn't think they could pound team. Now, the games have broken their way. Obviously, the Oregon pick six. Alabama, look, they forced a 3-and-out right away, including 2 sacks of Mendoza. But just they wet the bed at some point. And we know this from Belichick and then Saban. Bad loses more than good wins, or dumb loses more than smart wins. And that's what Zignetti, they're so well coached. I was talking to a math modeler and he says, I almost just don't believe my numbers, but then I watch and they do. When they get tackled, they fall forward. They don't beat themselves with dumb penalties. They don't miss tackles. They like Mendoza, like the first possession of the Rose Bowl, he was getting smothered and he just fell down twice. Like he took the sack and they punted. And that's okay. But some guys will throw to the wrong guy and will do stupid stuff. So I don't have a play yet. I lean first half under because I do think the one thing to sort of contain Indiana, because remember, the only coach that Zignetti retained from the previous regime was the O-line coach, and that's their strength. So I think the defensive front, Miami will wreak havoc. But if you look at Carson Beck and all the Canes, what they do on offense, it's all bubble screens, line of scrimmage stuff. So I think it's going to be matriculating up the field goal. So first half under is how I'm going to play this. It's also a little bit of a long layoff, a little rust. And so that's the only play. I do think Indiana gets there in the second half. I'm going to be looking, the game plays the right way. I just think it's a giant coaching edge. I think Cristobal's kind of a meathead. So I do think they pull away and win by 14 or 10, but I don't think it's going to be a laugher.
We call that a program builder. He's maybe not in game the most cerebral coach of all time. He's a program builder.
Right. Great recruiter for sure. Fair.
And let's be real, Miami is loaded, right? I remember banging the drum in the first round playoff where everybody was talking about how Miami had no business being in. A&M was going to rout them at home. They've looked the part in the playoffs on talent because they have played pretty sloppy football in all 3 games, especially in the semis. And they're just kind of out nastying people up front and at the skill positions and winning games. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Mike, do you have an edge in this one? I want to talk a little bit about crowd dynamics later, but if you've got a lean or a play, don't let me hold you up. GG, over to you.
Yeah, I actually have I'm going to be betting Miami plus 8.5. I think the
Really?
line,
You're
the
jumping
book,
on it.
yeah. I mean, will they win? I don't know, but I think this has all the ingredients for an instant classic. And 8.5 is disrespecting what Miami has done in the playoffs. I mean, they could have very easily given up on Ohio State. Look what they controlled that game from start to finish. Really, never gave up the lead. Same with Ole Miss. Could have gave up. There was many opportunities for them just to give up, and I don't know. I think they're offensively dynamic, and I love that spread. I think, like I said, instant classic incoming, and it's going to be a one-score game either way.
They could totally win the game, and just to have a team that could totally win the game, getting that many points, it's super appetizing. And Doug, to your point, there's so much hype and hoopla around Indiana. We've got the NIL boosters pushing the number north. It's not sharp money. I totally get it. I mentioned the $3,000 entry price. This is a home game for Miami, allegedly, but everybody I've talked about or I've ever talked to or heard from, I would say, is an Indiana fan that's going to Miami for the game. They took over the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl. How much of an impact will the crowd have on this game? I think they definitely had an impact in Atlanta, probably in Pasadena as well. How do you model that into picking a side for a big game like this, if at all?
Well, Mendoza touched on it in the press conference after facing Oregon, right? Because he says we faced him at Autzen, and then we faced him here in the Peach Bowl and didn't have to use silent count. We could hear ourselves. So there's actual tangible reasons how a crowd can influence a game. In the NFL, the home field when I was a kid back in the day, it was 3 points, everything like that. Now it's like 0.8, 1.1 to the spread, depending on the key number, just because there's so much technology, the headsets, everything, and everyone's so advanced with signals and everything like that. College guys aren't quite like that, right? Obviously, NFL, much more polished in that regard. I think it's an advantage if the quarterback's telling you it is and that he was appreciative. I think if the crowd's like bananas the other way, but I think they're going to adapt and be just fine. These guys, both sides, have been really sort of calm and present and sort of adaptive. They're not getting totally rattled. You never know, national championship game, but I think these guys are kind of seasoned by now that I don't think they're going to be rattled too much. Like the old Reggie Bush lateral against Texas in the Rose Bowl nearly 20 years ago. I don't think that's happening in these games anymore because it's the third playoff game. It's it's not something, or fourth for Miami's case. I just think they're going to be fine, and it's going to be 50-50 enough. Like, I don't know if it's going to be 60-40, but it's not going to be 100-0.
Yeah, it's not going to be a repeat of the Peach Bowl where Oregon's going to have to go cross country. This is in the backyard of Coral Gables. Okay, before we go to the NFL playoffs, I do have a play in this game. Mike, we're on opposite sides. Sorry, buddy.
I figured, yeah.
I jumped on the Hoosiers right after the line dropped. I got it at -7.5 on Novig. Pretty much even money.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I know it's a critical number, but Indiana, it feels like one of those teams where just bet them. They're better
almost
than
like
everybody
LSU
else.
back in 2019.
They're not there in terms of first round talent, but in terms of
no.
how much better they are than the
Right.
52 or the 11 lining up on across from any given snap, it's obvious, and you can kind of get in your own head in terms of numbers and line movement and sharp money. And it's like, wait. I'm laying the points. They're a much better football team. And that's paid off for a number of weeks now. And they're a different football team than when they were struggling to put away an Iowa or a Penn State. The emergence of Charlie Becker, Line's playing a lot better on the offensive side of the ball. Mendoza's playing a lot better. Doug, to your point, like much more decisive back there, both in getting the ball out of his hands and like tucking the ball and run, or just taking sacks. And they don't make mistakes. It's crazy. Miami makes a ton of mistakes. They're extremely talented, but we saw in the Fiesta Bowl, a lot of drop picks, a lot of dumb penalties, and that's them. That's not like an aberration. That's a Mario Cristobal team. I don't think they're going to all of a sudden play a perfect game, out of character against the most complete team they play all year. So I like Indiana to complete the 16-0 miracle season. And holy cow, what a story that will be.
I mean, I was trying to think, like, what would this line be if this season had been had by Ohio State or a big blue blood like Michigan, right? Just trucked Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Just trucked Oregon, undefeated. Not necessarily the turnaround story, but just undefeated. I don't know, because Notre Dame was about a similar underdog to Ohio State last year. Now they lost to Michigan and didn't get to the Big Ten title game. But I mean, there's been plenty of games where the Hoosiers have been. I mean, I have a buddy who goes, if they lost to Penn State, would they be in the playoff? I'm like, yeah, they would, because they won at Oregon. So Oregon probably would not be in the playoff. They'd have one loss, not go in the Big Ten title game, right? I mean, look, that Iowa game was close. I mean, there's been a couple close calls. They've gone their way. I just think people are forgetting, like, or the why. So you have the depth that a lot of the blue bloods is not there, right? You don't go to Alabama anymore if you're going to be backing up. Even though you're 4 or 5 star, you go get money at, like, an NC State or something like that, where you can get money and play right away. So the depth isn't there. And then the coaching, right? There's like that whole Jimmy Sexton sort of boys network where they all hire each other, and then there's some better coaches elsewhere, and there's more money. There's deeper pockets in out west or in the northeast and whatnot. So the NIL money and everything. And like Zignetti's got the right guys to fit in. So some of these 5 stars, like, you can't discipline. Like, they're doing dumb things and blah, blah, blah. And then they're more worried about their brands. And Zignetti's having none of that. And he's coached them up. So they're so well prepared. Mendoza can put his foot in the ground, make his first read, and not have to worry about a pick 6 or whatever, because he knows they've been scouting so well and the tendencies of the defense and the mid-game adjustments. I go back to that first drive. Alabama 3 and out. Indiana goes 3 and out against Alabama, including 2 sacks on the only 2 dropbacks. He adjusted, okay? Other coaches don't adjust. He made the adjustments, saw what they're doing, and says, okay, Kirby Smart, well known as the best in-game adjuster, and just botched clock management at the end of the game. So I just think how buttoned up they are is a real, tangible advantage. Now, the question is, can they cover the spread? And John doesn't think so. You do. I'm sort of on the fence. I'm leaning there. I'm going to have to come up with a play and a pick them. But I ultimately think they get there, because I just think they're going to do a great job scouting Miami.
Yeah. And it's a long week. A little bit of rust, but also a long week. Give Cignetti an extra day or 2 of prep time. Right. I like that. Okay, let's move to the pro game. I could talk about the college title game all night. We had an unbelievable slate of action in the wild card round. We talked about it last week. It's my favorite weekend of football in the entire calendar year. So much good stuff. Amazing matchups this week. Let's start in Denver, where, coming off the bye, the Broncos are only a 1.5-point favorite against a battle-tested Bills team that won a barn burner in Jacksonville. Say that 5 times fast. Mike, let's start with you for this game. You've been unreal in the NFL playoffs thus far. Why'd you like the Bills in the first round? And are you going back to the well in round 2?
I think I am. As of now, I'm leaning heavy towards the Bills. I just think this is all setting up for a Josh Allen game, legacy game, and I could just see the matchup: Bills-Patriots round 3, AFC Championship game. Not trying to spoil of who I think is going to win the other AFC game, but
yeah,
I like the Bills a lot. The Broncos, I'm not trying to disrespect them. I could see the same thing. I know college football playoffs in the first round was a little bit of a longer of a layoff, but you saw the teams besides Indiana, the teams with the long layoff look kind of sluggish to start. And the Bills, I think, are going to be ready to roll. I actually like a player prop a lot. I like Shakir over 50 receiving yards at -130. 12 receptions the last game, and he's turning into Josh Allen's binky just like he was last year. So I really like Shakir a lot. But yeah, I'm leaning heavy towards the Bills money line.
They were feeding him. And
12
Gabe
receptions.
Davis
and
is
the next
out, right?
close-
Tore his ACL. So that's one less toy to play with
The
on the
next
outside.
closest to Shakir last week was Cooks with 3 receptions. So critical thirds downs, he's going to be looking to him early and often.
Feels like they're going to be tossing the rock a lot. And
Yeah.
to your point, Josh Allen put on the cape, go win the ball game. He was getting banged
exactly.
up in Jacksonville, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he took a lot of hits. Like, it was
he's
like,
gonna have to throw a lot, because Denver's defense is pretty much, as far as up front goes, and secondary, Denver's a lot better than Jacksonville, but same defense. Like, I don't think Cook's gonna really get going at the run game again. Be the same routine, just trying to throw and maybe Josh Allen can use his legs more. But yeah, I like Shakir a lot. I like that a little bit better than the Bills money line. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the Bills.
Weird clock management at the end of the Bills Jags games. I know we were kind of looking back on that one. They had bled the Jags of all their timeouts. The smart play there was like take a knee and then try to bleed the clock down to 15 seconds, 3 plays, 3 timeouts to score. And they just QB sneaked immediately. Josh Allen was in destructo mode. Doug. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just saying I've been the biggest Trevor Lawrence hater right after college. I've been looking good so far, but this year he's really been shutting me up. So I think he's finally turning into his own as far as
got to do it in January.
Yep.
Doug, how do you read such a small favorite for the number 1 seed coming off a bye? And talk to me. I know you're covering props and sides and totals these days. Do you have anything you like in this game? And just generally, how should the average bettor at home think about such a small number for such a seed disparity?
First thing was the line movement. When it was pick 'em yesterday, I said, I don't see how this doesn't close Denver 1.5 or 2.5, because the sharps bet based on their math models. And last week, Jacksonville got the steam against the Bills. So there was no way that the math guys all react to a game. They just don't. They don't care what happened last week. They just trust their math. So I knew the line. If Jacksonville is going to be favored at home, then Denver's definitely going to be favored at home. And sure enough, the steam came. And I think it's not done. I think we're going to see 2.5. Maybe it doesn't go above 2, but I think we're going to see 2, just because the injuries. I mean, Josh Allen's fingers, his hamstring, these other guys banged up. That's the main advantage and really the only advantage the Bills have. And he's good enough to win it on his own. For sure, he's the best player in the game, in this game, and then maybe even all of football. I don't believe in McDermott. You just mentioned the coaching malpractice at the end of the game. He should have fallen down and taken a knee. There's a reason the Jags were letting them score, right? So it was just bad. And, they had the ball with about a minute to go and had a chance. Whereas if you just took one knee, they wouldn't have had a chance. With that being said, I do like Denver. I think the market is a little sour on Denver. I think we have to remember that they play down to their opponents, and I think that's what some people are remembering, but they also play up to their opponents. So I think they're going to respond here. And if Josh Allen does everything, then fine. He deserves the win. But that Broncos defense is really good, and I think the offense is good enough. There's enough of it. You can run on Buffalo, then you can throw on them with the play action. I don't love Sean Payton, but he's a better coach than McDermott. I think they'll be ready. You mentioned the bye week. That's always sort of that X factor, the unknown. I can't really do much with it, but I'll probably be on Denver here. I was like, I think I went like 0-4 last week with my sides. So all small plays. I didn't really have a good read on anything last week. I'm feeling better about this play, and then the next game in the AFC I feel really good about. But I don't think the Bills are that good. I just don't. Now, their biggest issue is when you can blow up the line, like what Houston did to them. But I just think they've put too much on Josh Allen's plate. I really do. So it sucks because he's awesome. I just don't trust all the other weapons, though.
It's like, what weapons?
Yeah.
He's like a slingshot. Let's move to the the evening game on Saturday. Another team coming off a bye. Another playing a very banged up opponent. The Niners are getting 7 points against the Seahawks on the road. Total sitting at 44.5. Doug, you are cooking. What do you like in this game, if anything at all?
I like Seattle. Now, the Sam Darnold news that surfaced today, I did not see coming. Talked about a little oblique injury. I think that's why there's been some buyback in the market. I know when they play each other, it was a tight game and whatnot. And then, the McCaffrey bobble, but that game was in San Francisco. I think Seattle needed the bye in terms of health, but also they were on a roll. I think this is a beatdown. I think the defense is so good. As long as Darnold protects the football, I think Seattle can roll them here. I mean, look, no Kittle. They have guys playing linebacker against Philly who had not been on the team like 3 weeks ago.
It's crazy.
I just look, that Philly team was a disaster on offense throughout the year. They fired their OC. They were an embarrassment across the board. I think San Francisco's defense, asking them to go to there and then come here, I think Seattle's going to be just fine offensively. Shanahan's wonderful. He makes chicken salad out of chicken crud, but I think Seattle blows them out.
This is Mike McDonald's first playoff game as a head coach.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Does that have any impact whatsoever? We saw Ben Johnson win in a crazy one in his debut, Go Bears, last week. Does that matter?
Not too concerning. I think he's pretty buttoned up, and he was great with the Ravens. So doesn't really bother me too much.
We're leaning Seattle. Niners coming off a long trip from back east. Now they're playing on a short week. I like it. Very injury depleted. Mike, are you on our side? A little contrarian take here.
I'm
Another
more
prop
like
for
the
us.
over. Yeah, I like the over more than anything. As crazy as that sounds, seeing the two matchups this year already. But I just think San Francisco will score some points on offense, and Seattle's unreal. So I like the over. I like Sam. I really love Sam Darnold throwing interception. I like JSN
interesting.
to have a good game, over 90 receiving yards for, I think it was minus 130. And I like McCaffrey over 110 plus rushing and receiving yards.
Man, ask and receive. We got a bunch right there. I hope you had your notebook out, kids. Very impressive. Okay, let's head to the Sunday games. AFC, I'm going to kick it over to Doug because I know you said you love this one. We got the Texans. I don't know if they got their Letterman jackets this time around.
Hopefully.
Headed to Foxborough to face the Fighting Gambling Gods, led by Drake May and the boys. Spread sitting at 3 points. Patriots as a favorite. Total very low, 40.5. Educate us, Doug. What do we like?
So looks like the gambling god and I are aligned here.
Show us the Pats jersey.
Here. Yeah, I think last week's games for each of them played out as perfectly as possible for the Patriots bet this week. They didn't play well. Drake May wasn't smooth, had a couple mistakes, first half particularly. I think the playoff jitters were a factor. I think there's a shock to the system that the playoffs have, and that's where being experienced really helps. Every possession matters. Every series matters. That's kind of like the NCAA tournament when every possession is magnified. And I think the Patriots kind of got that out of their system. Whereas Houston, like the worst thing that could have happened for them, I think for this week was that fourth quarter where they got away with it. Oh, then they could realize like they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. Pittsburgh stinks. And they were just inept. Stroud was terrible. I think that, you got back-to-back road games, short week for Houston. I think New England will be ready. I would have made this line 5.5. So I think this Houston offense is inept. I think the O-line's not great for the Patriots, but I think we're going to see bubble screen. I think we're going to see a little bit of everything. Vrabel's going to channel all his Belichick stuff. He's got McDaniels. Don't forget, there's a reason May had a really good year. I just think they're going to be so much more buttoned up. And no Nico Collins is really big for this Houston team. If you go back to that game on a Saturday during Christmas time, where it was week 17 or 18, and they had those two bombs, that they jumped on the Chargers early and then held on. I think if you just kind of weather that initial maybe throwing down, like this Houston team sort of just wastes possessions, and I don't think they're ready for this situation. It's going to be outdoor. I haven't done the weather check, but I just think it's a lot to ask Houston to keep this inside the number. I mean, this team almost lost to the Raiders. Now, you could argue the Patriots did lose to the Raiders at home, but that was week 1. But with everything to play for and the Raiders tanking down the stretch, I think this line's just a bad number.
Keep the Pats love coming. Let's hear the narrative side of it, Mike.
That was music to my ears. I knew I always liked you, Doug.
Yeah, exactly right.
Thank you, Mike.
So weather report actually might be a blizzard. It looks like we could be getting a lot of snow.
Sweet.
So that's awesome. Stroud's awful in the cold. He has been historically awful. He was awful the other night too. The defense bailed him out. I think the Patriots offense is just too good with a top 5 offense. Just way too good. Texans defense will get pressure, but Drake May is number 1 in every category under pressure this year. I think I love him. I got minus 2.5 at minus 118 Tuesday morning, but I might be a little bit crazy and going up alternative spread minus 13.5. I don't know what the odds are for that, but I think it's going to be a blowout. I love CJ Stroud. Can't believe this is only -120. CJ Stroud to throw an interception. I love
You are
that
just
too.
the picker
Mhm.
today.
Yep. And I like Diggs. I like Diggs
Ooh.
over 50 receiving yards too. That's a +110. But
Oh
yeah,
my
CJ
goodness.
Stroud
You're a
interception
prop master these
-120.
days. Where the gambling god is leveled up. I love all
Yeah.
this. We got a free
Yeah,
play coming
I don't think it's
soon.
going to be particularly close. Pittsburgh, like Doug said, Pittsburgh has a bottom 5 offense. They're not good. Rodgers can't move at all anymore. It's going to be a totally different team that the Texans defense is playing. So yeah, I like this game a lot.
In today's NFL, especially at the head coaching position, you think a lot about scheme, being innovative, cutting edge. Man, isn't it nice to have 2 old school defensive head football coaches, both played outside linebacker and were all pro players, and their teams are just nasty and physical and play great defense? I love the total sitting there, barely getting into the 40s. This should be a fun
Yeah, seriously.
game for people like old school smash mouth
I want
football.
I want
Yeah,
to
please,
mention
Doug.
this because I look at everything through the lens of live betting. Okay, so you have a 3-point spread, and the NBA obviously it's a game of runs, and teams go back and forth and freaking 15-0 runs and everything. If you're taking Houston +3, okay, because I joke that the closing number, come kickoff is really just the first timeout. Okay, so if you take Houston +3, you're basically saying that that's the best number you can get. Okay, unless you're betting several $100,000, you can get limits or fine in game for a playoff game. So if I want to bet Houston +3, that means the entire first half, Houston's either going to be winning or tied. If they're down 3, the game line's going to be 3.5. Okay. So you're saying Houston's going to go in there from the start in the blizzard and hang within 3, or within be winning or even. And then also the second half, they're going to be down no more than 3. Like maybe it'll be 4, and then they're getting the ball. Then the live line might be 2.5, something like that. So if you understand how the algorithms of the live numbers operate, and they work backwards off the current score and then how much time is left, like 3 is just a dumb number. It's going to be 5 early at some point in the first half, and definitely in the second. Unless the Texans go in there and lead 7-0 on their opening drive and then play, then it's catch up, and obviously that can happen. I would just run the risk of that and then want a bigger number if I'm on the dog. So I think it's a great live betting game if you like the Patriots. You can set up a middle in my eyes. And again, I think just last week they were a little sloppy and the moment was a little too big at times. I thought the defense played great, of course. So I just think their attention to detail in practice, I think Vrabel's going to have their attention. And I just think from a live betting perspective, I think it's a really weak line. I just don't think it's the right line going into this game.
Doug, what you said is very interesting. I want to get inside your brain a little bit. If say I'm a Texans better and I like them getting the points, I think CJ Stroud's is a breakthrough game. Drake May's the Blizzard's gonna get him. Will Campbell's gonna forget how to whatever. Given what you just said about game script and value, would you advise that guy who likes the Texans to not touch it pregame and wait till they go down 7 in the first quarter and then get the extra points? Get the extra.
Well, if you look at these things, like the half point matters, we saw around key numbers, right? So look at the Niners, right? With the Sam Darnold, he's now officially listed as questionable. The market crashed from 7.5 to 7. Now, all NFL games, give or take fractions of a percentage, but it's 15% of games land exactly 3. Now, I'm not saying all of those teams that win by 3 were favored by 3, but that half point, just try buying a half point off of 3, and you'll see how much the value is, right? So even if you can just get 3.5, it matters a lot. So I always say this with any sport, NBA, college basketball, is this the best number I'm going to get? Now, in the NBA, you could probably get a better number, I don't know, 90% of the time in game at some point because everything's so crazy in that sport. But in the NFL, you don't want to get too cute. And if you just like the Texans and you're with a bunch of buddies, you don't want to sit there refreshing your phone all game, fine. Fire on the 3, that's fine, if that's the side you like. But I just think if it's about a half point here and there, just getting 3.5, and I think you're going to be able to get 6.5. Now, I don't think they necessarily. I think this could get away from the Texans. There's some voodoo magic.
And you saved your money. If it's very ugly early, it's like, okay, I'm not going to bet it. This wasn't what I thought was going to happen.
I don't know, a little 15 years ago, what, the Ravens went in there and smoked the Patriots. But like, that's the only time it ever happened in the Belichick era, right, at home and things like that. So yeah, a team can go into Foxborough and win wire to wire, or they can be like tight all game and then, Patriots eke it out by 1 and then the +3 was good. I just don't think the +3 is going to be the best number you can get in game. I just think watching enough of these teams, Stroud, everything, I think Ryans is going to be very conservative, punt. He's going to play defense. If they get a lead, I don't think it's going to be a big lead. One of those things.
Little Big Ten West action on the East Coast.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more points to be had if you like the Texans side.
Love it. Speaking of Big Ten West action, let's head to the mighty Midwest for the last game of the divisional round playoff. No cheese graters in Soldier Field this weekend, but it's going to be mighty cold for the LA Rams heading east to face, team coming off the greatest victory in the history of sport, football or otherwise. And now they're dogs at home. 3.5-point dogs. The Bears are. Totals at 48.5. So we're expecting points. It's going to be very, very cold. Wind chill sitting around 0. Snow. Let's start with Mike. What do we like in this one? Yeah, interesting matchup. Stafford visiting an old foe.
For sure.
He played a lot of games at Soldier Field back when he was running things in Detroit for a couple decades.
Yeah. As you know, Lewis, I've been the #1 Bears truther the last 2 years, ever since.
Yes. Tell him about the future.
Oh, yeah. My favorite future.
Brag.
Bears over 8.5. That was awesome. I just factor in, they finally got a head coach with a brain that's been working. They did exactly what they needed to do in the offseason. Got their head coach, got offensive line help, and they got weapons. Loveland's been awesome. Odunze, Moore, and then they got Burden. They got the offense to compete. Rams have the offense. I'm not leaning towards Bears or Rams right now, but I love the over. Points.
Really?
And I do love Devontae. Yeah, even with the weather, I think the teams will be scoring points, and I do like Devontae Adams to show up and get a touchdown. So I like Devontae Adams anytime touchdown -120.
I had that as part of an underdog pick 'em last weekend, and that was the one thing that didn't cash. My guy Cairo Santos never misses. He's old reliable. Doug, I see you smiling over there. I hope you got something for me. I hope it involves navy and orange, but tell us what you're liking in this game.
Yeah, I think the only side you can play is the Bears.
Yes.
Now the problem is like they dig themselves holes. They're a second half team. So do you wait? I mean,
talk about waiting to get a better number.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to wait, but it's a really bad spot for the Rams. Now they're very talented, but think about down the stretch. They went to Atlanta in week 17, then home to Arizona, then at Carolina, flew back, and now they're going to the Midwest in Chicago. And the Stafford numbers, I mean, I'm not a big win-loss guy for a quarterback, but 1-9 when the temperature is below 10, and the numbers match that record. It's his performance has also been really weak. And over a field goal, I talked about the importance of that. The Bears, yes, they are pulling games out of nowhere. 7 wins, an NFL record, 7 wins when trailing at some point in the final 2 minutes of regulation. It's pretty remarkable. With that being said, they have a really good coach, really good quarterback, enough weapons that I think they can kind of manage this game. And yeah, I would be shocked if we see a shootout and things like that. Stafford's been shaky, man. And I would not lay the point. I just don't think you can lay 3.5 on the road here with the weather, everything. I think it's Bears or pass in this game.
The other thing that I will say about, obviously the Bears pulled that one out of their rear end. The defense has been very bad for a number of weeks. I mean, against Detroit, whatever, week 18, they played pretty tough, but the defense has been, and the Packers, we all know they went into prevent offense in the second half, and that's the only reason the game was even within reach. And the Rams have a lot of weapons, so I like the over. I think that's interesting. Stafford is a good late game winner. He's won plenty of games against the Bears in his career, fourth quarter drives like he did on the road in Carolina last week. I'm curious, Mike, you've been cooking on the prop side of things. Is there anything that you've kind of seen that caught your eye on the prop side of things? in
For
this
this
game?
game,
Yes, sir.
uh, I like Adams a lot. Like I said, I saw
Yeah,
the Puka game
touchdown.
last week. Yep, I like him over receiving yards too. I think that was about 70 something. I think it's so low now because people forget what Adams did this year, and it's NFL's like the biggest see what have you done lately recency bias, especially with books too, sports books. So I like Adams at the low number to get his receiving yards and him to get a touchdown. As far as the Bears go, I could see it being a Kyle
Another
Monangai
guy that's
game
played a lot
too.
of games at Soldier Field in the cold.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting. S- Especially if they get out to a lead at any point. They like feeding him the pill
of
to
course.
do
Yeah.
some 4-minute offense. Doug, anything you like on the prop side? I love that we're on the Bears in terms of lean
Yeah,
on the points.
I love the Mike's just diving in here. I need to sort of dig. I mean, so basically, I'm one man, right? But I have a team of people that we bet together, and then I also have my other people I circle. So I kind of wait for the dust to settle,
Yeah.
and also as much as I want to bet early in the week and things like that, I want to be, I don't know, practical for the subs, and
Yeah.
then game day have the right props. So I kind of let the dust settle. My main guy was on Loveland over last week. Obviously, that's
Mm.
was pretty impressive and just dominated because that was the Packers' weakness was the linebacker defensively. I'm going to see how this plays out. I think my gut tells me that it's going to be a lot of dink and dunk around the line of scrimmage for Drake May. So it's almost like completions over, maybe attempts over, something like that. I just think that's the one thing. And one angle that I've done really well with in the playoffs over the years is quarterbacks rushing yards over, not the guys who typically run like Josh Allen or even Caleb Williams. It's the guys who don't when they're over unders like 11 and a half, something like that. And I'll tell you why. So how do you calculate props in the playoffs? Well, you just use regular season stats, right? Well, regular season stats sometimes don't translate to the playoffs all the time, right? Which ones don't? And it's really rushing yards for quarterbacks because they're drilled into their head, throw the ball away. Unless you're Jackson Dart, you're drilled in the head to throw the ball away, to slide, all these things, right? Well, game on the line, you're diving forward. I mean, even Caleb Williams did that in the second half. That was only on like first down, I want to say. Dove head first. Purdy did a bunch of that, diving and fighting for those extra yards because all hands on deck, right? You're not messing around. It's whatever it takes. And that's where you're able to get a little bit in the edges, the margins of those extra rushing yards. Now, odds makers know this a little bit and they juice it a little bit, but you can't do it too much. Even Rodgers on Monday night tried to tuck it. He was just too immobile. But that's I bet I had his prop over 1.5, and
Oh
it was
my
right
God.
there.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, Purdy went over. Trevor Lawrence went over. So Lawrence was a big example of this last weekend. He went a lot. So they had design draws, and then he went a lot. So this weekend, I think Bo Nix. Now he's a mobile quarterback. They don't have a lot of design runs. I think Peyton's been saving them. I think Bo Nix over rushing yards, but I do think we're going to get a lot of rushing. So I think Sam Darnold, even though he's banged up, I think his over is going to go. I would even look at Stafford to see what we get. So the guys who don't normally run, that's an angle that has done well in the playoffs. But, on Monday, both guys went under. So it's not obviously an automatic.
Super interesting. Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
We've worked through the whole slate. This was a ton of fun. We're a little bit over time, but Doug, if you're willing to, I know you're always dying to preach NFL draft futures. Can we get a freebie or something interesting, at least something to get people to think about marrying the college and the pro game before we draft?
Yeah, I would say, look, things have changed, and Mendoza's now up to minus 8,000 to go number one in the draft, and obviously Dante Moore decision dominant. Look, Raider fans are going to riot if they don't take Mendoza. So I just think with the draft, these lines change so much. Okay. Mendoza can stink next week somehow, right? He could get hurt, God forbid. New management may just want to trade down and things like that. I just think you're 3.5 months away from the draft. The last thing you should be doing in any position is laying big juice. So don't have FOMO. So what? Let's go back to last week when it was minus 400. Who cares? You missed a minus 400 cash. Who cares? Is your parlay or what? It's fine. Like, just understand the volatility in these markets. The draft process is just beginning, right? The underwear Olympics of the combine, the interview process, the Wonderlic tests. They go find skeletons, whatnot. I mean, just this time last year, Shedeur Sanders was minus 230 to be the number one pick. Okay. He went in the 5th round. That's not going to happen with Mendoza. He's going to go 1, obviously. But literally the day he was minus 400 and people were making fun of me, that day, Mel Kiper has his big board out and he has Dante Moore number 1. And earlier in the week, McShay had Dante Moore number 1 as well. It's just a crate. And this goes to the futures, like week 1 in the NFL or whatever. The farther you are away, the more you should be looking at underdogs because those lines adjust drastically. Favorites go from like minus 140 to 160, things like that. So you don't want to. It's just such the market in the draft is just extremely fluid. The farther away, you should only be looking at the big prices because that's what odds makers care about, and that's what they move aggressively.
Super interesting. Are you looking to snipe dogs in the draft now, or you're not even looking at the board?
I'm looking long shot. Like I bet Chambliss 75 to 1 the night that they were facing Miami. Like he was just playing well, and I was like, you never know. And the combine, he's only 6 foot, but still, like you want to get big numbers. He's 30 to 1 now, but he got to 17 to 1 like the next day. You just want to build portfolios of big numbers. Like it's going to be Mendoza. He's the All-American kid. You want to build your franchise. There's no guarantee he can't miss prospect, but I mean, I'd be shocked now at this point if he went 1, but you just don't need to add minus 8,000 to your portfolio. Like you're not achieving anything.
Yeah. This may be taking us totally off the rails. Do you dabble around in these prediction markets at all for futures like this, where the price is moving so much and you can trade in and out and get value?
I just did an interview for it. Like prediction markets, there's a lot of screen scrapers, a lot of arbitrage guys who are just just have bots that are calculated to take all the money or whatever, take all the value. And when you add up the transaction costs, that the value or the percentage is a little misleading because you have to factor in the transaction costs. But it's very early. The DraftKings platform is much better. Everything's getting better. It's evolving. The props, like we're headed in the right direction with the prediction markets. It's just not it's not like, oh my God, this is so much better than everything else. But I think it could be, and I like competition, right? It's going to make everything a little bit more equitable. The draft will be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be like some of the war, some of the healthcare prediction markets that have proven to be, oh my God, this account knew everything. I don't think the draft will quite be there.
Yeah,
because
the insider trading situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's there because teams that are picking 3rd don't even know what's going to happen because the 1st and 2 picks. And even the Anthony Richardson, Irsay decided like on the last second to take Anthony Richardson. And my understanding is he only took him because Seattle was supposedly interested behind him. Like they didn't work out Richardson that much. They didn't like him, and now he's a bust, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of like craziness that happens during the draft. So it's hard for these prediction markets to be that accurate ahead of time just because there's so many forks in the road throughout the draft. Now, with that being said, if there's like live betting, if you will, if the prediction markets stay up, I could see those being a really unique animal.
Where you get Chambliss at 75 to 1. Now he's 30 to 1. It's like, okay, I'm out. Like, that could be
or just like pick 4 after the first 2 picks. Like, oh, they took alignment at 2. So now, if people who understand the domino effect of everything, the complex thought, and just how each slot there's value. Not all slots are created equal. Like the 11th pick, I forget who it was, but last year, the second corner, whatever it was, he's so much better at man, and Miami's not a man defense. So like there's just a domino effect and understanding of such nuance that there's a way to nail these if you really, really do your homework and understand things.
Fascinating. All right, you guys have been way too generous with your time. This was fun. To our listeners at home, in the comments, you can get great 7-day offers from both these fine gentlemen. $5 first week from the Gambling God. The link is in the replies. Doug's offering a 7-day free trial. Check it out this divisional round playoff weekend. You'll get all the plays. College football playoff on Monday night comes to a conclusion, and a bunch of great basketball action as well. What a blast. You guys are both rock stars. Any parting thoughts from this accomplished dais?
I would say, remember, during the NFL regular season, full week, no bye week, there's like 16 games, and you bet like 3 of them, 5 of them. So when there's only like 4 games, be careful out there. With that being said, the menus are so big, you should be able to get like a little action on every game. But just remember, like, don't force anything because to live to fight another day, so to speak.
There's only so many spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say with player props, I love combining player props for like run-in quarterbacks, like a Caleb Williams, Drake May, passing and rushing yards. So that's why I try to recommend my VIPs. Try to combine everything, especially like a running back like McCaffrey, Swift, or I know Barkley's not in there, but Barkley too. Like you're safer off going with the rushing and receiving yards because you just never know what kind of game it turns into. McCaffrey could have 30 yards rushing and end up with 110 receiving yards. So you're better off combining with the player props.
You win in many ways.
Yep.
All right. Best of luck this weekend, gentlemen, and go Bears.
Thank you. Great. Thanks so much, Lewis.
This was epic. You guys are rock stars.
A lot of fun. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. How do I do this?